Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking the new 6+ SOBA Mask into some content, chatting about his new abilities, and seeing how this guy rocks over in some of the 13-star content. As always, I like to take the new characters into Dofi 2 and Revolution Army 2, no-stall the content. I feel like that's sort of like the best staple of like showing power, speed, reliability, usability, all of that fun stuff. I just find that being able to no-stall that content it sort of ticks all the boxes. Now, obviously, it is still pretty old content with power creep. It's going to get easier and easier and easier as our numbers get bigger and bigger. But until we get somewhere better to do showcases, and if you guys know a place, let me know in the comment section below. But until then, this is what we have to work with. So, SOBA Mask is later 6+. He's a pretty good unit. Very anticipated 6+. His original release was absolutely insane. That's because of his captain action, but we'll talk about that when we dive into the content. If you enjoyed the video, though, put a like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in. Alright, so we're going to start off with Heavenly Demon 2, as we always like to do. Now, SOBA Mask as a captain has a very interesting ability and was one of the first characters to get this captain action. Well, actually, he wasn't one of the first characters. The Gear Change Luffy was probably the first character to get the captain action. Then we had the Docking Frankie, and then we had this particular SOBA Mask. But this particular SOBA Mask brought an ability called Vanish, which was incredibly strong on release. I believe it was for a New Year's celebration. We got Luffy and Zoro, and then we got SOBA Mask as a dual Sugo celebration. And when those two characters released, like, they were some of the most broken characters in the game way back when Wano first started. And SOBA Mask, especially with his versatility as a rainbow captain and this Vanish ability, was just so incredibly strong. Now, what he did was turn himself into a Vanish condition for 3 turns that basically makes him immune to everything that would affect a captain. So, Blind, Despair, Paralysis, Special Reverse, Special Bind, Fear, Silence, Blow Away, Captain Swap. It didn't matter what it was, the Vanish ability would basically just bypass that. On top of that, when you are in the Vanish ability, you would bypass defensive effects, including defense, and add a particular amount of damage. I think it was 500 times his attack in terms of like extra damage on top of the tap timing. So very, very strong ability, and still one of the most powerful abilities in the game to this particular to this date. So just that ability to bypass any annoying mechanic is just going to show incredible value. And with SOBA Mask now as a captain compared to what he was, his multipliers have just been increased. He's obviously a rainbow based captain, so you can run anyone onto this on the squad. And on top of that, he has a new ability where if any of the Straw Hats or a Reiju character utilizes a special, he's going to completely remove Special Bind on himself, as well as giving himself a fully charged special. Now, his special ability did get a pretty big buff too. It is an attack boost, a rainbow attack boost to the entire crew. And now it is a 2.75 attack boost that can go up to a 3.5 if you've already used his special in the same turn. Plus, they added an ability where he removes 4 turns of burn, has a full border tandem orb manipulation that goes through block orbs, as well as if you hit 2 perfects, he gets a 1.7 chain addition in the next turn. So this particular special, alongside this ability in his captain, just allows the character to get this double special, pseudo double special activation a lot easier to get the massive 3.5 times rainbow attack, which is really, really big. Like, 3.5 times attack to everyone is ridiculously strong. And then obviously the pseudo double special is giving you 8 turns of burn instead of the 4 turns of burn. So that's always pretty nice. On top of that, if your captains get special bound, and like it's just your captains, you don't really have to bring someone to remove special bind. You could just basically utilize someone like a Nami on the crew, use that special first, it's going to remove the special bind, you're going to get your captain abilities ready to go, and then you can just go from there. In turn though, you can use the Vanish ability on the turn before, but at the same time, like, just having the special bind ability removal is still very, very strong. Now, big downside to the Vanish ability, obviously, is you need to know what's coming. So we'll showcase the Vanish a little bit better in the Revolution Army 2 run. Over here in Dofi 2, I kind of just like went balls to the wall and just decided to like play it out. I didn't really play into the whole Straw Hat ability, giving the cooldowns and stuff like that. I didn't really register that that's what the captain ability meant until I went into Revolution Army 2. So I feel like we showcase him a little bit better over in Rev 2, and he has a little bit more opportunity to flourish over there as well, rather than here in Dofi 2. Dofi 2 didn't really satisfy a lot of what SOBA Mask is actually trying to achieve, but in the same sense, we have Luffy Lucci, we have Nami. So as you can see there, we used the Nami special. That basically gave the max cooldown to both of our SOBA Masks. I didn't even notice it because like Nami gives cooldowns, so I just assumed that like, oh, my SOBA Masks were just one-off getting their cooldowns ready to go. So very nice ability. If you bring Straw Hat characters or Reiju. Now, you can only do this 3 times per quest, and obviously if you have double SOBA Mask as captain, both of them are going to get the captain cooldown. So that works out quite nicely. But you can only do it 3 times per quest. So basically what that means is if we had the Luffy unit, we had a Nami, and we had another Straw Hat, once we used all their specials and we got the full cooldowns for our SOBA Masks, it wouldn't just continuously keep proccing. So it's not like you can take it into a forest and just continuously get the specials off over and over and over again, because that would be incredibly broken. It would be really, really fun, but it would be absolutely broken nonetheless. On top of that, you can only use the SOBA Mask special 3 times in a run, which is a bit of a shame. Like, I don't understand what's so broken about his special to make you stop utilizing the special. I understand the max cooldown being a 3-time only thing, but the fact you can only use his special 3 times in a run does hold the character back a little bit in some of the longer content. But honestly, like, the longest piece of content that you're doing nowadays, like, forests are kind of dead. Hopefully they bring back a forest in the future at some point, but the only, like, long content you're doing is probably these 13-star events. This is as long as long content gets nowadays. And the 3 specials charge, it's kind of like a perfect amount to get this particular quest done. The attack boost that SOBA Mask gives, the orb manipulation, it works so well across the board in terms of damage output and utility to bypass damage negating effects like block orbs and whatnot, that you can just basically just power your way through a lot of these tougher quests, or once upon a time these tougher quests, with just whatever characters you want. Like I said, like, we got Yamato on here, we got Pudding on here, we got Nami, and we've got the Luffy. None of these characters really synergize all that well, except for, like, obviously, like, a couple of Straw Hat units, but stereotypically, like, we don't have a lot of class synergy, we don't have a lot of type synergy, and just being able to throw all these characters on the team together just seems quite nice to get stuff done. And when you have up to a 5.25 Rainbow Captain, it just makes things very smooth. Provided you obviously have a Tandem Orb, otherwise you're a 4.75 Captain. But even still, like, 4.75 Captain up to a 5.25 Rainbow is just, it's very, very nice. It's not game-breaking in a sense. Like, the damage numbers that he has, the SOBA Mask has as a Captain, isn't insane. I would have liked it to probably be up there around 5.5. But I do think that the developers believe that Vanish ability as Captain is just so damn effective and is so damn powerful that's why they had to sort of nerf those particular numbers. You also get 2 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest as well, which is really strong. 2 turns of cooldown is always really, really nice. And it's something that is always going to be useful when it comes to sort of speed runs, which SOBA Mask was literally all about when he first released too. So very, very nice little, like, captain action. That's sort of like the big upside to the character. Remember, you're always going to be able to use captain shift nowadays too, so you don't have to utilize SOBA Mask as the captain per se. You could definitely, or you could use him as a captain, get access to the vanish, and then you could use something like the captain shift mechanic just to bypass whatever's happening to that captain slot and do some fun stuff there. Because, like I said, a 5.25 captain, whilst it's good, it's not something that you're going to be wanting to use across the board for content every single time. So unfortunately, it is what it is there. So moving on to Revolution Army 2 now. This is where we're going to kind of like try and bring some Straw Hat synergy here. I made sure to bring 3 Straw Hat characters, as well as having the Vanish hit the particular stages that we definitely want to hit. So when you're moving from turn 2 into turn 3, you want to activate the Vanish on turn 2, so that way you have it on turn 3, where turn 3 gives you Bind and Despair on your captain. You also get Special reversed as well, where, as you can see, SOBA Mask basically just bypassed both those immunities, and that way we just literally didn't even need to use a special on that stage, which is massive when it comes to trying to clear this quest, because one of the very most annoying parts of this particular fight is having enough characters to get around all the debuffs, and having SOBA Mask as a captain just allows you to just bypass both of the Bind and the Despair and the Special reverse as well in your captain slots. Now, obviously, that does mean you need to run 2 SOBA Masks, which most of the time when you're looking at like big damage teams and stuff like that, you're not really going to have 2 SOBA Masks on the crew. You're not really going to try and run 2 of them because you just lose out on a special. But the upside to SOBA Mask himself, while having both of that captain vanish, is that you can actually utilize him in a way that increases the attack boost without having to use the double pseudo special activation. You can just use 1 SOBA Mask, and then the other SOBA Mask will increase that too. Again, not the most viable scenario, but at the same time, it's at least something that you can do if you are running double SOBA Mask for whatever quest. Remember, he's going to be boosted in the next month as well, so like having double SOBA Mask for some quests while still getting some extra drops and some extra rewards is going to be pretty nice there as well. As you can see, we do have both SOBA Masks specials maxed out, thanks to the Zoro special. Zoro basically gives them back the max special, then we can use a SOBA Mask again before using the waifus, and with that, waifus are just going to fully charge SOBA Mask. So he has some very unique abilities, some very interesting abilities, but when you compare him to some of the powerhouses of the game, when you compare him to some of like the hardest damage dealing units, clocking at something like 6.5 to 7 times captains, and he's only rocking a 5.25, it's definitely very, very lackluster, and that's definitely something that I believe that they missed the mark on. Like, I understand he's a rainbow, I understand that he has this crazy captain action, but at the same time, like, damage is still the name of the game. Like, you need to be able to output enough damage to kill the enemy, otherwise you're going to be in for a rough time. And whilst just bypassing negative effects is great, there's always going to be a character you can bring to just bypass those negative effects. Sure, SOBA Mask makes things easier, makes things simpler, but at the same time, like, when you get more HP thresholds, when you get more effects that aren't the ones that he can bypass, like burn, stuff like special limiter, stuff like pain, stuff like what's it called, bleed, all of those very annoying abilities, you are going to be in for a little bit of a rough time. Plus, at the same time, you do need to know what's coming. So if you're going into new content or content you don't understand, you have to target, or you have to decide to use your vanishes at the correct time, just like we did there on the Lindbergh stage, so that way we bypassed the despair moving into this stage against Karasu. So that's a bit of a drawback to the character too. So if I could change anything, I would just make his multipliers higher. I think 5.25 is a flat rate attack boost, and then going up to a 5.75 with a tandem orb would be awesome. That would just at least give him some viability to sort of compete with some of the other captains in the game. I understand that might be a little bit high, even if it's a 5.25 and then going to a 5.5, I could definitely see that. But his attack boost is quite nice. He still has that crazy sailor ability that I didn't really touch on. He gets 4 turns of cooldown as a sailor when anyone else uses a special. So obviously as a sub, if you use his special and then like use 2 to 3 other specials, you can get his special back a lot nicer as a sub unit, and I feel like that's probably the best place to use him. Have him as a sub, maybe use him in some captain shift situations so you can utilize the vanish to your advantage, hybrid him up with someone else that isn't getting targeted by those particular abilities, and then sort of just captain shift out of him so that when you don't need the captain action anyway. But overall, SOBA Mask, he's still a very good character. He's got some very unique stuff going for him, and I do like the design. I just think if you're just comparing him to the powerhouse of the meta, he's probably not going to see all that much play. Over in Rumble, I've already done a showcase. Make sure to go check that out. He's a lot of fun there in the anti-strength team. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Late!